Welcome, welcome everyone to a brand new episode of, well...
Guess who's back?
No! This is all... Knowing that Foxy is back is just as terrifying as the new designs of the Turtles.
Oh, good lord.
Oh, God. Raph is like 3 feet taller than all of them,
and I can't, Rise of the... I can't even give them the Turtles nameplate. I just call them Rise of the...
Yeah, I just say Rise of TMNT because fuck it, you're not even going to remember this show. If this show keeps on going and it doesn't fix what it's doing, which by this point, as a person who has actually kept up with the show, there's no saving this show.
Even if they fix what they're doing, it'll look like a backpedal, so the fan base will die.
Yeah. And right now, it's polarizing. Literally, the show ratings rise, critical ratings, it's 50%. It's always in the 5s. There's never a 6, there's never a 7, but also there's never a 2. It's always 50% of fans like this show, and it's just if you backpedal and you start doing whatever these fans don't want you to do, then guess what? That show's gonna suck, and they're suffering right now too, but we'll get to that now.
They're not going to make anyone happy.
Yeah, they're not. But they're suffering in something that Nickelodeon holds more important than the show's rating itself. But we'll go ahead and get to that in a bit. Guys, this will not be an episode of Danny and the Electric Fox. There will be the Electric Fox, but it is not news.
Because we're nerds!
Yeah.
Anyone who knows me or has heard me talk since our beginnings knows that this is a subject that I am so obsessed with it hurts.
Yeah.
So...
A subject that literally you can find... I should go through all of our episodes and make a playlist of the amount of times you have mentioned this damn show.
Yes.
Because literally it's almost every episode. Back when we started the show in 2016, the show was on its 4th season, meaning we were doing this in 2017 while, the experimental 5th season was coming out. And, yeah, just always mentioning this show. And, So basically, this is a show that right now I am temporarily titling it Danny and the Electric Fox Into the Sewers.
Into the Sewers.
Yeah.
Yay.
Just like our ratings. Yep.
Well, okay. I want to address something right quick for all of our friend fans.
Yeah.
Is that this show has not been happening, not through any fault of either of ours. We didn't have any beef. Actually, it's funny. If we had gone viral and we had a huge following, that's what people would think. The internet would go towards there's beef.
Yeah.
But it really wasn't. This guy has a work in school, and I have a career that takes me tons of places.
Oh, and let's not forget that literally the week we were supposed to kick off Into the Sewers, my work destroyed my laptop and all of my recording equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, that did happen.
It was literally the week we were supposed to get this off the ground because I had finished the show by the 2nd week of August. Literally the day before this show was supposed to start, all of the equipment and my laptop got destroyed because my work took it. And again, there was nothing the work did because they don't want to have to spend money on something that was clearly their fault. The one thing they have against me is I didn't put it in my locker, but everything else against them was, well, first of all, that locker is about the size of a shoebox. I can't put in a giant travel bag in there. I had a boss that would not allow us to put things in the office, even though they are supposed to let us do that. Now our new boss lets us do that. But yeah, it's there were a bunch of factors that were the fault of the company, but they were just hey, should have been in your locker. Anyway.
That's just, it's fucked.
Yeah.
But hey, I
replaced it, I'm paying off a credit card, and I don't have a kidney, and I only have one kidney now. So.
Yeah, hey, it works. I mean, kidneys they're things,
Yeah.
Okay, it's bad that it's been so long since I've been in a bio class, I don't remember what kidneys do.
They filter out the toxins in your body when you drink liquids and stuff.
Oh,
That's like when you
okay.
drink a lot of alcohol, the kidneys are always the first ones to go.
Why did I think that was the liver? No, the liver stores. It stores the.
Because the kidneys are like filtering it, so they work really hard.
Okay,
The
yeah.
liver stores. But again, I failed biology,
Which
so I could be wrong.
Which I aced at the same time.
Yeah, we were both in the class simultaneously. Thankfully, it was the first and only class we had together.
Oh, it would have been a nightmare if we had more classes
Can
together.
you imagine if we had speech together?
See, okay, I would have loved if we had a class together that wasn't at 7 a.m, so I wasn't sleeping through the whole thing.
And I was supposed to be helping you too, and I was falling asleep also. Danny, what happened? The fuck I know, I'm asleep.
This is how you know the quality of student I am. If I have something to memorize, we're good. I aced a class I was asleep for 90% of.
Yeah. So anyway, what this show's going to be is it's going to be basically a podcast made specifically for the 2012 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles show that had premiered back in 2012. A show that I myself never gave it a chance because I was a biased little fanboy who's like, I do not like the design of the turtles. I do not like the fact that one of the turtles want to get down with April. Why the fuck is April 16? There were just a lot of things that were not hitting my bias really well.
And for me, I was the complete opposite because I was in dire need of a refresher because I didn't grow up with... Well, I grew up liking the Turtles. I definitely liked them, but I wasn't a hardcore Turtles fan.
Yeah, which at that time I had been.
Yeah, so because I wasn't, I was like, hey... Not only is it a new take on the series, but it's one that I can catch from the beginning. And so it was a real refresher to me. So when I watched it, and you'll see why as the series goes on, but I was like, wow, this is good. This is really good.
Yeah, so just like any episode of Animazing, we are going to start it off with the theme song. We'll probably only do it this one episode because, the theme song's the same except for Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
But it's a good theme song, though. I will say that.
Oh, it's great. Now while we're doing that, I want to set something up.
Okay.
I really like that they took the original theme song from 1987 and they just changed the music up a bit and turned it into a rap.
Honestly, that's one thing that I wanted to mention as well, was that that paying homage to the original carries throughout the entire series.
Oh yeah.
And also with the way that the music and the way the song was composed and whatever, it tells you exactly what this series did, which a lot of other series try to do and fail to do when they refresh or revive or bring in new universes, which is make it appeal to millennials.
Yeah.
Without making it look like that's exactly what you're trying to do.
Yeah, because I think when it comes to, this show was made for the fact that the Turtles needed a reboot after 4Kids had kind of drove their Turtles to the ground. This was in dire need of a reboot for television again, but at the same time, they wanted to keep selling toys. So of course this was half, we need something to put on TV again, and also half, we want to make that toy sales. And this show did a good job at making something that was going to appeal mostly to the millennials and the adults who grew up with the TMNT. And
they literally tried to reach out to everyone.
Yeah, and the kids, well, they were watching the show probably because of the flashing colors and the funniness of it, but they were getting some pretty sick-looking toys. Like, Playmates really outdid themselves when it came to the toys, and they even withheld something they were doing from the beginning of the toy line, and that was, yeah, these turtles look nothing like the turtles from the 1984 comic book, but who says we can't make the toys look like them? So when you get the toys for the TMNT, the eyes are completely white, and then all of them are like gritting their teeth, like all of them. That's how the 1984 toys looked, and that's how these 2012 toys looked, and it was really fucking cool.
Everything they do was paying homage to the originals, it seems.
Oh, dude, they were paying homage to the movies. They were bringing in characters that only came in from the movies, the 1987 show. They were making if the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have done something bad, they would mainly treat it like a joke, like the fact that none of the Turtles want to believe Mikey when he says he met Megan Fox.
Oh, yep. I can't get over that.
They bring it up like 4 times. I'm like, okay, we get it. I don't want to remember the movies either.
Honestly, this whole, like, I feel like, and I've said it before, and again, as this goes on, and as we delve deeper into the series, you'll know what I mean when I say, like, if the creators the creators of the original Turtles wanted to say, okay, there's only a set number of Turtles series that can exist, and after this one, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles will never be shown off in any form, visual art, ever again, this would be a good send-off.
Yes. But it would also be kind of sad for fans who are just like, well, can we just keep getting more of this then?
Oh, honestly, I mean, literally, Rise of the is so bad. If they just kept making this, I'd have been happy.
You know what sucks too is that the creators of Rise actually worked throughout. One of them was a supervising producer, and then another one was like a storyboarder, I think. But they worked on this show. They worked on this show for its entirety of its run, and Nickelodeon's like, okay, you guys can make a total show now. They're like, okay, let's do everything wrong. Let's just do everything. Remember the problems people had with the Turtles throughout the entirety of the media run that the 2012 show fixed? Well, let's go back to that again, except all of them now are just one personality.
You know what I honestly feel happened with Rise? I feel like it was a case of execs stepping in and being like, well, what if this was how this worked?
Yeah.
I feel like they had a bit more freedom with how they ran the 2012 series. I compare it in quality to shows like Avatar, and I know I'm going to get a lot of flack from hardcore fanboys saying like, oh, Avatar is God, you can't compare them. But honestly, if you look at the way the series goes and the level of freedom you could tell that they had, it's pretty much that same idea.
Yeah.
Whereas there are other shows, and actually, despite all the Butch Hartman drama, Butch Hartman talked about this very strongly, was what happened to his show and why Fairly OddParents died, and it was primarily because of executives stepping in and saying, well, what if there was a baby? Okay, now what if there was a dog? Okay, what about a girl? We need a girl.
Yeah.
And it's just, like, and Butch, he talks about it like, oh, well, I'm an optimist, so I'm going to treat this with a smile and see if it comes out good, and I'll put my spin on it to make myself like it, but I'm really not okay with this.
Yeah, and Poof was a good choice until, they had those few episodes where he actually talked, and it's like, okay.
Oh, no. They had to make him talk. That was the worst.
That was the death sentence. And I something tells me Butch did that on purpose, knowing the fans are going to hate it to the point where the executives are like, you have to do something about this. I have a feeling he did that on purpose because maybe he's like, well, I did enough with Poof. And then they tried to do stuff with Sparky, but it just wasn't working, so they had to get him out. Like, I think he even got... Did he have an episode where he left, or was he just gone?
I'm trying to remember. I think they did have an episode where Sparky left.
Oh, okay. It would have just been funny if it's like, hey, where is he? What? You know that dog you had? We don't have a dog.
If I remember, actually, it was kind of feelsy.
Yeah.
Because I think it was just Timmy and Sparky.
Oh.
And he's like, oh, well, you know, you've been good to me. Bye. I think I remember that, but it's also been way too long since I've watched that show because I gave up on it.
Yeah. And yeah.
Well, I came back briefly for Chloe, and then I was like, I like you, I like your spunk, but you're so annoying.
Yeah. Yeah, and Butch even said, like, Nickelodeon had been trying to kill that show for years, but they've been like, yo, you're canceled. Okay. Yo, actually, we ordered a few more episodes. Hey, you're canceled. Okay. Actually, more episodes. So it's kind of Nickelodeon's fault. They were picking good seasons for to kill it, and then they were just coming back and renewing it for another season.
Like Robot Chicken. Except Robot Chicken's great.
Robot Chicken, I think skit comedy shows, as long as you have consistent writers and they know what they're doing and they have good material to work with, you can keep that going forever. I mean, that's kind of Saturday Night Live's thing.
Actually, literally, if Saturday Night Live replaced all of its actors with action figures and puppets and stuff,
I'd actually watch
that's
it.
Robot Chicken.
Yeah.
I haven't seen SNL in forever. But, dude, 2012 Turtles.
Yeah.
2012 freaking Turtles.
Yeah, since 2015, around the time that me and Foxy had met, he's been pushing this show on me and everyone else in our little group for a while, to the point where I was legitimately getting annoyed because I did not like I did not like this show, but also at the same time, I just plain did not want to give it a fair chance. I would see one episode, thought it was okay, but just kind of left it at that. But he just kept poking, and after the show ended, he kept poking and poking again. And I shit you not, the only reason I got back into this show is because I was at Anime Expo. I was walking around the marketplace, and I see that they were selling these beautiful-looking 4-pack of the baby turtles from the 1990 movie. And I'm like, wow, those are so freaking cool, I want them. Sadly, due to some personal reasons, I was not able to get them. I will, though. But that kind of sparked this flare of, hey, I want to watch some Ninja Turtle stuff. You know what? Fuck it. Let me give the show an honest-to-God shot. And by episode 5, I was already deep into the show, and I'm like, motherfucker!
You see what I've been doing?
Episode 5.
Oh, man.
I was expecting episode 10, but it was literally episode 5, which let me go ahead and check which one that was. You can go say something while I'm saying.
Okay, well, I wanted to say that, like, the big pushing point that I was trying to make for everyone, and I converted, and that's why I was so mad with Danny and why I kept annoying him with it, was because I had already converted, like, 5 people.
Yeah.
And he just would not budge. And it's like, first off, the voice acting.
I saw those crappy movies before.
Yeah,
I saw
that's why
the show.
I was like, "Oh, you poor soul, you." For me, I was the complete, because I was a hardcore fan of the series. So when the movies came out that were completely like separated, I was just like, nope, don't need them.
Yeah.
I have not seen the movies.
Also, it doesn't help the fact that I thought the way these turtles in the movies were actually the turtles from the show. So I was even less in a hurry to actually go and watch the show.
You. But the voice actors.
Oh my god.
All-star cast. Like, literally, if they could have put together more of an all-star cast. I mean, again, back in that regard, I will compare it to Avatar. All-star voice acting.
Yeah. Even as far to the point that Qatar's voice actor is voicing April O'Neil in this incarnation.
And that was, first off, that was the first thing that got me. From the moment April was on screen, I was like, wait a minute, I recognize that voice.
Yeah.
And Beast Boy is Mikey.
Oh, Greg Sipes? Yup.
Yup.
Which is just like, okay, so Greg Sipes has been a voice actor since 2003. Why the fuck is he just barely playing a Ninja Turtle? Michelangelo of all. This is absolutely the best casting for him I've seen ever.
Honest, same. He's He's such a Ninja Turtle. And Rob Paulsen is Donnie. The original Raph is now the current Donnie. That got me right away because I'm a hardcore Nick fanboy, as you all already know.
Yeah.
So, and Rob Paulsen's in everything. Danny Phantom, Jimmy Neutron, Barnyard. Rob Paulsen is in everything Nickelodeon touches.
And then me as a Cartoon Network WB fan, Wacko Warner.
Wacko Yorner.
Yeah, Wacko Yorner. No. Wacko Warner from the Animaniacs. I mean, that is easily still one of his most iconic roles.
Yes, Rob Paulsen, though. Just in everything. And the Shredder, he's that guy. The guy who's also in everything.
Kevin Michael Richardson?
Yes!
Yeah, the guy who's literally made his money off, like, being that deep, scary voice, or even just, like, the sexy voice. Like, he is Mr. T in the morning.
Literally everything. He's in everything.
And this is about the second time Shredder has been voiced by a black man, where James Avery, Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, played him back in the 80s.
Yep.
But, that was the voice where he talked like this.
Oh,
it just really shows you the amount of talent that Kevin Michael Richardson has, because later down in the series, he has to do that voice.
Yep. Yeah. And he does it so well, by the way.
Yeah, it sounds exactly like
It's crazy how, and just menacing. Shredder in this universe is, he's not just, okay, so I'll say this before we actually we need to get into this.
Yeah.
But before we do, I think this overview is important because this series means a lot to me and a lot to the fans, too.
Yep. And now me.
Yeah, and now you. But a lot of series that have, a main bad guy, that main bad guy, his motives are unclear, his drives are unclear, and it's well, what is he gonna do? Okay, he's gonna turn the sun purple. Okay, well, what's that gonna do?
Yeah.
Really? It's unclear what he actually wants. But in this case, from literally the beginning, Shredder is I'm going to kill people. I have no care for humanity. I will just kill and kill and kill.
And that's the thing, too. It's not even I'm a mass murderer and I want to kill everyone. It's, I want to kill one guy, but I don't care who I have to tear through to get to him. I don't care if I'm going to blow up the entire sewage system just to kill this one guy.
And you can... It's so clear from the beginning. And that's what really makes you both love and hate him so much at the beginning. But I think also one thing that you see in him, again, even from the beginning, more so later on, humanity.
Yes.
You can tell that he's not just a one-dimensional cardboard box of evil, like a lot of bad guys and a lot of TV shows are. He's really a person with feelings, with thoughts. With feelings. He feels. And you can tell he does.
The only problem with him, and this is not a negative at all, but this is a problem with him mentally, is the fact that, yes, he has this human compassion, but that's mainly because he had convinced himself to the point, like Karai, for example. He loves Karai, but there's a point later on where he's just this is what you are to me, and she's all no, you know what you did, and he's how dare you,
he's living in denial.
Yeah.
We can't go into too much detail, but he is in denial hardcore.
Yeah, and it's really a step up from the goofy villain who wanted to conquer the earth to
bumbling buffoons.
Yeah, to God, I still love that line. Destroying them is too good for them. Let's give them some gloating. Yes.
Oh my God. Yes.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Wimps. But yeah, or the cardboard cutout villain you were talking about in the 2003 Ninja Turtles show, where again, I like that show. I only like about the first 5 seasons of it. But the Shredder in that one is just a villain, and it gets even worse when they reveal actually he's not just what's the actual name of the Shredder?
Orokusaki?
Yeah, he's not just Orokusaki, he's actually an Uchad who took the form of Orokusaki and has been the Shredder for centuries. Like, that's when the show got a little too ridiculous for me.
Yeah, and just this Shredder, like, he's just, you know what it is? He demonstrates, like, characteristics of psychopathy, where it's like, you've got logic. It's warped logic, but it's logic, and that's a lot more than most villains have.
Yeah. Dude, God, again, I can't go into it yet, but there's a part where he's trying to perfect a mind control formula, and you think any other villain would use that on the masses, but he had more disturbing plans for it.
Oh, yup, and that's where, again, like, logic, it's warped, but at least you have a logic and an end game, and you can back up everything you're saying and doing.
Yeah.
Like, it's, because it's like, and that's another thing, a lot of villains can never answer the question, and then what? Mm-hmm. It's like, you have this plan, and then what?
Well, remember what they did with Krang in a later season, where it's just like, you were gonna do that? Are you fucking stupid?
Yep.
We need this. Like,
yup.
Yeah, like they are well aware of, like, and then what? You're gonna destroy the planet, and then what? You live here.
Yeah, and that's the question that this series delves into so well, and I'm at some point I'm gonna need to stop comparing it, but like Avatar. Everyone in Avatar had a reason for doing something, and if they did, they knew what would happen after it either succeeded or failed.
Yeah, and they didn't care, again, similar to the Shredder, they did not care who they had to go through it to get the ideals out there.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And then, like, even with, you know, the Uchads on this season, they are simply called the Krang. Like, literally, instead of having there be Krang from the 1987 series, we have the Krang, which the entire
Hive mind.
Yeah, which the entire species is just, that's the official name. And they're a hive mind that all refer to each other by name, and it gets kind of annoying after a while. Their way of speaking would literally drive me insane.
It's love
funny.
it.
It's funny, and as it went on, I like ended up enjoying it. Especially towards the end, they kind of toned it down a bit because it was supposed to be like, well, the Krang are slowly learning to talk normally. But yeah, it's weird hearing them be like, the ones who are in this place must be destroyed, so the ones who are in this place are no longer in this place.
it was hilarious. See, I have to say, we have national or international Talk Like a Pirate Day. We need Talk Like a Krang Day.
Yeah.
I'd be so happy with that.
Nolan North. Oh, which, by the way, the Krang are all voiced, except for Krang Prime, and thank God they're in this season so we can actually talk about that for a bit. But like, the Krang are voiced by Nolan North, who, of course, is the voice of Drake from the Uncharted series. But he actually voiced Raphael in the 2007 animated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie.
Now, see, that I didn't know. That's sick.
Yeah.
And also, oh my god,
Well,
Uncharted, Nathan Drake. When you see... Because you said Drake.
I know.
Literally, the first thing I thought, because I always hear Nathan Drake, so the first thing I thought was Drake Bell in Uncharted, and that was just a horrible image.
It really sucks. It really sucks that we didn't get Drake Bell in the show at all. That would have been hilarious.
Oh, that would have been amazing.
It would have been hilarious and amazing, like, just seeing them have to morph him in. But yeah, and another person I want to bring up, because he got really big last year, is Sean Austin playing what is easily my favorite incarnation of Raphael. And here's the thing, I've never been a big Raphael guy, period. I've always been more of a Leonardo person. But the way they did Raphael in this show was incredible. The fact that he wasn't a hard ass and the Turtles just let him be a hard ass. It was something they had to work through. It was something that was actually interfering with the way they worked as a team. His little temper tantrums and just...
Well, in that same way, that's another thing that I'll mention more as we go through the series. But every character has their own character development, their own strengths, and their own weaknesses that help and hurt the team.
Yeah, they actually went ahead and turned the Turtles... they turned the Turtles' archetypes into actual personalities that were like, Donatello's smart, but he sucks as an overall ninja. Michelangelo,
and he can't get out of his head, and he's very insecure.
Yeah, and Michelangelo goofs around, but he gets distracted. He has no sense of focus. Yeah, like they do things like that, and it really is one of the reasons why Kevin Eastman, one of the creators of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, is like, this is without a doubt my favorite season.
Well, one thing that I like in particular with Mikey, because I was, even when I was only a casual Turtles fan, I was always hardcore Mikey fan. He was my favorite.
Yeah.
And one thing I like about this universe's Michelangelo is he's not stupid. They give him a character much more akin to like having like ADHD or something.
Oh yeah.
Where, because he has these bursts of intelligence, you have times where he'll just pick something up right away and know exactly how it works.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very much like, well, for one, he acts very much his age, like all the Turtles do.
Yeah, the Turtles actually look and act like teenagers.
Exactly, and if there was a teenager, like, a high school age kid with ADHD, that's exactly how Mikey is.
Yep.
He's not stupid. He doesn't channel. He doesn't channel his intelligence in the right way.
Yeah, like, he does something later on in the series that he did it one time, and not even Donatello was able to replicate that ever again. And that was with the retro mutagen.
Yeah.
They never did that again because Michelangelo forgot how he did it, and Donatello just could never figure out how he did it.
That was beautiful, by the way. But let's delve into this. Let's dive right in.
So, as you guys know, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are 4 brothers who were adopted by, typically in the original comics and in most lore, Splinter, which was a rat of the Kung Fu master Hamato Yoshi, ninjutsu master, who witnessed Hamato Yoshi dying, was then kicked out into the city of New York, where he was exposed to the mutagen along with the Turtles. In this series, though, they take a little bit from the 1987 series, where Splinter is Hamato Yoshi, where he was a man who was excommunicated from his clan and had no choice but to go to New York, and where he later got affected by the mutagen, turning himself into a rat and turning the Turtles into the Turtles. This version also added on, this is also from the comics too, the fact that this all happened because of a rivalry between the two, between Oroku Saki and Hamato Yoshi, over a woman, and it later resulted in the death of the woman and presumably the death of the master.
Yeah, and that was, like, literally, it almost makes me think of, like, the old, like the gangster movies, and more recently Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah.
Where you fake your death and start over.
Mm-hmm.
And get a fresh start. And you could see that sort of element in the way that Splinter lives his life. Very minimalist, doesn't draw attention to himself. But it seems like it's not just because you're a ninja, so you know how to be secret, but also because you're trying to get a fresh start, so you want to literally start over.
Yeah. And in in this show, he was flat out, like, bought an apartment and was ready to move into that apartment along with his 4 baby pet turtles, but then of course the incident happens, and it's not like the 1987 series where it's like, I went to New York and I lived in the sewers.
Yeah, like because that's obviously like your prime end goal when you move from Japan to New York.
Yeah, you move into the sewers because they're quite spacious.
Yeah.
But we do find out again. Mwah, beautifully done. We do find out way later on, that we'll get to way later on, why they do live in the sewers. Why, it's not just to hide the turtles from the world. It's for a completely different reason, and
we'll get into that.
Just glorious. But yeah, so what ends up happening is 15 years later, Splinter has what he believed has fully trained the turtles, and they are now old enough to go out into the real world, at least at night, and explore, because again, they've been cooked up for the last 15 years.
With very strict rules, by the way.
Yeah.
To not get involved with anyone. Like, don't let people see you, don't get involved with the public.
Yes,
just explore.
Yeah. And if you see something going on, then see if it's something that only you guys can handle.
Exactly. Like, in other words, extreme discretion.
Yeah. If it's a mugging but you hear the police coming, don't do it. If it's a flat-out kidnapping that no one knew was even happening, then yeah, you might want to step in.
And that's kind of exactly what happens.
Yeah.
But, one thing that had me, and I need to mention this because this is probably one of my favorite moments in the first episode, and no one will agree with me because it was so insignificant. But the turtles ate actual turtle things.
Yeah.
They ate worms and algae. They weren't these hardcore pizza heads like they should be. Yeah. Then they discovered what pizza was. Or in Mikey's case, pizza.
Pizza, yeah.
And they were like, wow, this is the first thing I've eaten that isn't worms and algae. And they got obsessed right away, obviously.
Yeah.
So it shows where the turtles' pizza obsession came from. It had the turtles eating turtle food.
Yeah, because
God, that was so cool.
In the movies and the original TV shows, and I'm talking about like 2003 to 1987, it was always once they got mutated, they found a pizza box and started eating that. And in this one, it was flat out, no, you're eating what turtles usually eat, and then you happen to find it 15 years later.
Exactly. That was so beautiful to me.
Yeah, and I really love the initial reaction towards it too, where poor Michelangelo, they forced him to eat it first in case it was like poison, and he's just like, okay, I'll try it, and then he takes a bite and he's like, oh man, this is gross. Here, let me take the rest of it. And they just like dogpile him.
It's just like, you guys would hate this. I better just eat it all.
Yeah.
But that's something that someone who's 15 would do.
Totally.
They're very much their age in this series, and I love it.
Yeah, even, again, as much as I was kind of against it, even the fact how they handle their relationships was actually pretty akin to how teenagers would react to it.
They're such their age.
Like again, when Karai steps in, it is very much like, I like this girl, but we have like a Romeo and Juliet situation going on.
Oh yeah, and we will dive into that in a second. Oh, the plot. Let's just get through with the plot.
Yeah.
So, I love this show so much. So yeah, they're out there in the world for the first time ever, and Donnie geeks out over computers because that's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then they witness the initial kidnapping of April and her dad that would spark a lot of the series, actually.
Yeah.
Pretty much, actually, almost all of it. They wouldn't have really started getting serious or even encountered the Krang had they not gotten curious.
Mm-hmm. And just imagine if Splinter had actually... Because originally, Splinter wanted them to wait, like, at least one more day or at least one more year. Can you imagine if they actually listened, didn't talk him out of that? Like, we would have had a full-blown alien invasion where the leader had crazy psychic powers thanks to a human they experimented on.
Yeah. Oh, man, there's so much to talk about.
Yeah.
This series is so deep.
Well, it's 27 episodes a season, and I have a feeling that season 5 is gonna be the easiest / the hardest to go into, because literally, when you really think about it, there's technically only 5 episodes. But all of those episodes are like an hour and a half long.
Yep. And, see, this is what the final season makes me think of, and we'll talk more about this later, is like, if you had a really, like, driven kid who had designed this entire universe, and then they had to write a report for school on this universe they designed, and it's like, okay, it has to only be 800 words.
Yeah.
And so it's like you're cramming so much in, and as you're going through it, you're like, wait, stop, wait, what about that? Let's explore that more.
Can we have a few more episodes with Mark Hamill's character? Wait. Can we just have an entire spin-off series in the mutant apocalypse? Oh my god, please. Tell me.
I would so hard.
Again, I don't know. I don't think she's in this series. I think she's in season 2. But I actually do have a little theory about Renette. So we'll get into that next time we have a show.
All right. But let's
But yeah.
So episode 1 is pretty much exactly what we've just described.
Yeah.
Except one thing that was also very apparent from the beginning, which I love, is that Splinter admitted that he trained the turtles all wrong for what they're trying to do.
Oh yeah, every turtle media, the Splinter had always, from the beginning, taught them how to fight as a unit. And in this one, it made more sense because Splinter was training each of these turtles to use a different weapon. So obviously, he would only have to train them using that weapon. So yeah, he never accounted for, wait, you guys might have to fight together one day. And they almost killed each other a couple of times.
Oh, yep. That was amazing to watch them fumbling all over each other, because they weren't fighting like they were inexperienced fighters at all.
No,
they're very strong individuals, but had no idea how to work as a team.
Yeah, so you had a lot of the turtles jumping in the middle of each other.
And hitting each other and things, and why did you land where I stabbed?
Yeah.
That was like...
Watch where you're stabbing. Which, thank God for those turtle shells, because can you imagine if that was
that
just
would have been gruesome.
Yeah. Imagine if it was just a person and it's like, you stabbed me in the chest. You stabbed me in the back with 2 fucking katana swords. Which, by the way, due to the fact of how bulky the turtles are, the swords have always been bigger than the average katana.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, when you get hit by a nunchuck, it's gonna hurt. When you get hit by a katana, it's going to cleave in clean. It's gruesome.
Oh, man, but, like, that... I feel like, again, predating myself a litto bit for the future, when they finally learn how to fight as a team, because they started as individual fighters, I think they're the strongest team that the Turtles have ever been.
Oh, absolutely. They also have, like, some of the best tech. Even when they would have to fight by themselves, they were more than capable in doing it, handling themselves for an episode or 2.
And honestly, so basically, they fumble all over each other, and they're like, so wait, what was that? And again, as teenagers would,
yeah.
First they start to blame themselves and think, oh, it's your fault, or it's my fault, or something. And then Splinter is the one who interjects and basically says, it's my fault. I trained you wrong.
Yeah.
I didn't think that you would try to fight as a team. So, if we're gonna... And then it starts the team-building dynamic of, if you're gonna be a team, you need a leader. And, that scene cracked me up so much.
I love that scene where it's just like, okay, who wants to be a leader? Leonardo stands up, me, and Raphael's like, no, me, and it's like, no, me, and they're all looking at Michelangelo. It's like, okay, you got me. Like, and like, even at the end, where it's just like, so why did you choose me as a leader? Was it because you can sense leadership in me? No, it's because you were the first one to ask. It's like, wait, so you mean if any of them asked, they would have been a leader. Yup. Even Mikey? No, that would have been the wrong answer. My thing, this is like my favorite version of the Splinter because he's still very wise and noble, like Splinter has always been, except in Rise. You can go fuck yourself.
Oh, God.
Whatever that fat
honestly.
piece of shit is.
But but I feel like he's very wise. He's very, like, into his, like, he's very knowledgeable. He's a great teacher and a great father figure. But also, he's very human.
Yes.
Like, he'll crack jokes. He won't just be like the serious old sensei. Like, he's a real person.
One of my favorite lines in season 1 is, the number one rule of a ninja is to never come harm to others. Unless you are trying to cause harm, then cause harm a lot. But yeah, like, another thing I liked about this first episode was there wasn't any instant trust with April. Like, in all of the different incarnations, it was, wow, these monster turtles saved me. I officially trust them. But there's that little scene where Donatello saves April from a Krang, and she looks at him and screams, and she is like backing away from him, but then she sees 2 Krangs showing up, and she's like, well, I don't know what's worse, going with the kidnappers who look human or going with this weird turtle monster. I love that they did that.
You really see, and again, that's a staple that you'll see throughout the entire series, is these insecurities, these doubts, these really humanizing the characters. Because no one's just going to be casually okay with what just happened.
Yeah. Hell, one of my biggest problems with season 2 is Muckman, how the media handled him, and it's just like, and yet you guys are going crazy about these turtles, and this guy looks like a goddamn sewage zombie.
Yeah.
But yeah, like...
Muckman.
I saw that robot chicken.
Yeah! That's exactly what I thought of too.
Aw, Craig, man. It wasn't Craig!
I was so
but yeah, basically what ends up happening after that, and surprisingly too, April disappears for like 6 episodes.
Yeah.
She's only... What was the episode? Yeah, it was the episode with Chris Bradford. That was when we see her for like 1 second, and then gone for the rest of the episode. That was episode 4.
Yeah? I mean, but I think what really adds to that is, like, New York is a big place, New York City is a big city, and a lot of people in it have lives.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing that I appreciated, was they didn't say, like, okay, well, here, we introduced a new character, and now here they are to stay forever.
Yeah.
No, April's got a life.
Yeah, she's got school, and she'll make little comments about school too, but who knows how her aunt is acting, knowing that she's watching someone who is just in the middle of a kidnapping attempt. The aunt probably didn't want her going out a lot.
Yeah? Oh, man,
but
there was a lot to it.
Yeah, but like, we move on to technically episode 3, because
Episode 1 was a 2-parter.
Yeah, and they do list it as episode 1 and 2.
Yeah, well, episode 3. Which one was episode 3?
That was the one where the turtles are fighting the Krang on a rooftop, and they end up destroying a spider. They end up destroying a satellite, and they anger this really fat, angry man named Vic.
Oh,
who is voiced by Captain Knuckles and the Flying Dutchman.
Yep, the Kung Fu frogs.
Yeah, yeah. There's some kind of Kung Fu frogs.
Oh, and that was one thing. That was the first time you see Raph's temper.
Yeah.
Because everyone else is trying to handle the situation rationally, and the reason why they can't resolve this... Oh, by the way, because the Vic took footage of them.
Yeah.
And that's bad if you're a ninja. That's bad.
And was trying very hard to sell it to, like, National Enquirer. And all that.
I felt so bad for what happened to him. We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But anyway, the big thing was, you're dealing with a stereotypical, and I hate to use the word stereotype, but this guy was a stereotypical New Yorker.
Yeah, I was totally thinking that right now.
Because, he was like very, like, he was like, if he has something, if he has a step up on someone, he's going to use it and make sure that everyone knows he's using it, so he's going to be a dick about it.
Yep.
And so he was very much stooping to their level. He was really immature. Mm-hmm. But, like, he was, like, making fun of them and basically being, like, pulling the innocent civilian card of, oh, they're threatening me. Oh, well, okay, looks like I can't give you this because you're threatening me.
Yeah, and also he knew that all he had to keep doing was insulting Raph, and then they would start fighting amongst themselves.
And I think that was the big thing as well, that I'm going to keep saying it. It showed the humanity there.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't just a cardboard cutout of here. I can now threaten these guys. Here's my leverage, and I can be a dick. It's like, he was smart. He made them right away. Mm-hmm. He made that they were not a very good team or a very good group, and he knew the one and the buttons he had to keep pushing to keep what he wanted.
Yeah, like calling his size salad tongs.
Yeah, like he knew. He was very aware of what he was doing.
Yeah, and it really does humanize the fact that Raphael is no longer the tough, he's no longer the tough guy who gives into his anger. He's a person with legitimate anger issues who isn't until he hears a very real story from Master Splinter about how back when he was a human, Oroku Saki, the Shredder, had insulted him and his wife in such a way that caused him to beat him up, and that was the nail in the coffin for the friendship. And you get this beautiful line from Raphael saying, well, it was his fault. He pushed your buttons. He insulted you first. And he's like, yes, but with the way I acted, I allowed his words to turn into weapons. If I had just ignored him, maybe none of this would have happened.
And you really saw that resonate with Raph, too.
Yeah.
But also, he still does have anger issues. He still has temper tantrums. And so, again, it's humanizing. It's not like, hey, here's the lesson. It's stuck. Now I'm going to follow it forever.
Yeah.
He has to think back and be like, wait a second. I need to remember that this is the talk that we had, and this is the result of it. I need to not let his words affect me.
Yes.
And later on, he relapses, because no one's perfect on the first go.
Mm-mm.
But Vic, I feel so bad for him, because he's now got this footage that he thinks is a gold mine, and why wouldn't you? I mean, walking, talking turtles that know martial arts? This is a gold mine.
Yeah.
And already proven that they're not costumes, they're actual people, actual turtles. Well, I'm going to sell it to the highest bidder. But if you go public with a lot of this information, the people who are very much in the underbelly are going to catch wind of it first, and so he ends up being tricked into trying to sell it to the Krang.
Yeah.
Which is a bad move. The Krang don't do bargains.
No, they don't.
Like,
they probably don't even know what a bribe is.
Honestly. And so, yeah, he tried to sell this footage to the Krang. And I feel so bad for what happened to him.
Yeah, so one of the things that a fan who was also very happy to find out that I had started watching the show was saying I couldn't really feel bad for him because to me he was no different than Snake. Stinkweed?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, no. The difference with Snake is that Snake was knowingly working for the Krang. He knew what they were doing. It's still up in the air whether he knew they were aliens or not, but he knew what they were doing and continued on with it. This was just a guy who was sleazy,
Yeah, and he was trying to make it out. He was trying to make his come up in the world. He was trying to make money.
Yeah, so the fact that he got infected by the mutagen during a crossfire, you really do kind of feel bad for him, but he's one of those mutated humans who really gave into the villain role, though.
Oh, he was already vindictive. He was already full of anger.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like, and you'll see it more often, but as more characters get mutated throughout the series, the thing that comes up to the surface in their mutated form is usually whatever emotion they carried more prominently in their human form.
Yeah.
Because he was very vindictive. He was already full of anger.
Yeah.
And he just became more so when he got mutated. But also, you saw that level of fear and confusion of, like, what did you just do to me? What is wrong with me? What's happening here? It's not just like, I'm a mutant, and suddenly I know 100% how to be a mutant.
Mm-hmm.
And you also see that later on with Chris Bradford, but we'll get to that in a second.
Oh, yeah.
But that sort of idea of, like, this isn't something you just get used to right away.
Mm-mm.
You really, like, your body is restructuring itself, and so you have to figure out what you're supposed to do. And for what it's worth, and we'll get to this later, one person I think reacted to the mutagen super well and almost knew 100% how to do it was Lars.
Who was Lars?
Mondo.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it seems like he learned right away what to do when he got mutated.
Yeah, it just kind of sucks that he was the one where it affected him in maybe the worst way it affected the others.
Actually, yeah, we'll talk about that in a second, but what happened to him was just ouchy.
Yeah.
Honestly, ouchie. But, yeah, so episode 3 was essentially that, Raph coming to grips with his anger issues. I think that was the main theme of that episode.
Yeah.
And then, next episode, what is the next episode?
So the next episode, going into my phone, the next episode is New Friend, Old Enemy, which you just mentioned Chris Bradford.
Oh, yup!
Yeah.
So, here now, we have Chris Bradford, who seems to me, and you could obviously interject as well, but he seems to me like if you took a carbon copy of Steven Seagal and Chuck Norris.
Yeah.
And actually, literally, if Steven Seagal and Chuck Norris were a single person.
It really is. And when you look at the character design, it is more dominantly a Chuck Norris clone. Even going as far to revealing way later on in the series that he had a Saturday morning cartoon.
Oh, yup. but his attitude was very Steven Seagal-y.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like this, he is the Shredder Orokusaki's connection in the U.S.
Yeah. He's using his dojo, his famous, like, celebrity dojo, as a way of recruiting foot ninjas.
Yep. And he's like, your typical world martial arts master, celebrity kind of guy. And, of course, being a major action star and a martial arts dude, somebody's got to idolize them.
Yep.
Especially teenagers.
Yeah.
And especially Mikey-sized teenagers.
Yes.
And so, by the way, this is also the start of the Shredder sort of knowing that something's going on.
Yeah. Well, basically by the end of episode 3 with Spider Bites, the news media had found a shuriken during one of the crimes on one of the vans. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, it looks like ninjas are in New York. Oh, isn't that funny? And then you just see this ominous shadow looking at it and recognizing the total, like, symbol on the shuriken, and is like, it looks like an old friend isn't dead. I'm going to be making my way to New York. And it's like, oh, shit.
Yep. And you meet Chris Bradford, who, befriends Mikey. And I feel so bad. His soul was crushed.
Yeah.
Because...
Which, by the way, Chris Bradford's being voiced by Clancy Brown, the voice of Mr. Krabs.
See, okay, everyone knows Clancy Brown is Mr. Krabs, but I know Clancy Brown... because I'm a hardcore gamer and a hardcore Naughty Dog fan.
Oh, really?
I know Clancy Brown as Neocortex and Baron Praxis.
Wait, who's Neocortex? That's not the main villain, is it?
It's the main villain in Crash Bandicoot.
The yellow guy.
The guy with the big N on his forehead.
What the really?
Yup! Who, by the way, speaking of Neocortex, I was watching a video and I saw a parallel between Neocortex and Serge Tankian, and now I can never listen to System of a Down without seeing Neocortex.
Oh, God, no.
They're literally, like, look it up later. They look the same, and it's scary. But anyway, but yeah, him, and then Baron Praxis, the main villain in Jack 2, which was one of my favorite villains in that series, because he was very deep and very human. But Yeah, dude. So that's what I know him as. And he actually uses his Baron Praxis voice for Chris Bradford.
Yeah.
And I think actually, I will argue that is one of the first moments of intelligent Mikey, or at least Mikey with a photographic memory. Because Kim and Chris Bradford, they're friends. They bonded over martial arts. And he shows him some very secret katas, some secret forms. Mm-hmm. And one of them was like this super ultra mega forbidden move. And not only does Mikey do it on his first try, but adds his own flair to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even to the point that when Mikey tried to use it on Bradford, even Bradford wasn't ready for it.
Exactly. And that was, that really showed what kind of person Mikey was. You could show him something, and he could do it on his first try. But it got revealed later on after, I will say, not much happens in this episode, honestly.
No, not really.
Mikey becomes friends with Chris Bradford. It later comes out that Bradford was just kind of using him to get sort of inside info.
Yeah.
And then Mikey's like, ouch, I idolized you. And that was the whole episode.
Yeah, and also we do get the introduction of Zeva, who...
Oh, yes.
If Chris Bradford is the person supplying the ninjas... basically, Zeva is the one handling all the gangs in New York.
He's a smooth-talking Antonio Banderas type character.
It's totally Mr. Weed's voice actor, too.
It is!
That's all I hear when he talks.
Yeah. But, very smooth-talking, silver-tongue gang boss sort of guy.
Yeah.
And, he's very much, from the beginning to the end, he is a mafioso in his core.
Yeah.
And you could tell, that he's slick, but he's also, he's not, I wouldn't say fully devoted to the cause. So, here's what I mean. Bradford is Shredder's U.S. connection, and almost at this time, Shredder's second in command. And he will follow Shredder around and do whatever Shredder says like a loyal puppy. Zephyr will do what Shredder says if it suits his own means. Mm-hmm. And he will follow Shredder if it suits his own means. He's very much a look-out for number one type of character.
Even to the point where he doesn't care if he needs to gamble with Chris's life when dealing with a Turtle-related situation.
Yeah, no, he looks out for number one. And in that way, I love though how this was sort of addressed as the series goes on, in that Shredder was never too worried about Zephyr revolting or using his influence or his mentality to be like, you know what, I'm sick of following you, I want to be my own leader. Because Shredder knew that he could just kill Zephyr pretty easily if he wanted to.
Yeah.
And Zephyr knew it too.
Yeah, and Zephyr owed him a life debt because it is hinted that Shredder broke him out of prison somehow.
Yep. And that but he also again, he's slick. He's a gangster through and through.
Yeah.
Because sure, it is a life debt, sure, but I'm not risking my life wholly on this.
Yeah.
But no, episode 3, 4.
Yeah, episode 4.
Episode 4 was kind of a simple episode. Not much happened.
Yeah.
And episode 5 is...
Episode 5 is even more kind of just a smaller episode. I think his name is Baxter Stockman, where we get Phil Lamar playing Baxter Stockman.
Such a good role, by the way.
This is a very different interpretation of Baxter Stockman, because in the original comics and in the TV show, Baxter Stockman is actually one of the creators of the Ooze and is in fact the CEO of TCRI.
By the way, I will say this now. Anytime we ever mention a new character, we'll almost always have to pay homage to the voice actor and that character itself and its iteration in this universe.
I'm so disappointed this wasn't the Dracula voice. Because that's who Phil Lamar is. He's Dracula from Billy and Mandy.
Yeah.
So I would have loved that voice for him.
Oh, that would have been hilarious.
But like, we get a very good nerdy voice from him. He's a very funny character, and when he becomes his iconic Stockman fly, he gives a very unnerving performance too.
Oh my god, you know what he almost reminds me of at that point? We'll get to that later. Almost like Lester Crest in a way.
From what?
From GTA 5.
Oh.
Like nerdy, socially awkward, but creepy. Very creepy and very above certain levels of morals.
Yeah.
Very Lester Crest, and oh man.
But this is an episode where, again, they're teenagers. Donatello finds an experimental military, artificial intelligence that can basically modify anything it's linked into and keeps adapting. So he turns it into an iPod.
Yep.
Yep, and it starts downloading music and keeps downloading it. But then after a fight with Baxter Stockman, who in this one, he's very incompetent. He is no longer the smartest man in the room. He's very incompetent despite the fact he's really good at mechanics.
And that's one thing as well. They didn't just completely dumb him down and turn him into a bumbling idiot.
No,
you can
absolutely.
show he's wickedly smart.
Yeah. No, he's very smart. And again, at one point, he had a master plan of dealing with the turtles and didn't care if he was going to kill Splinter's two other henchmen in the process.
Yeah. Wait, you mean Shredder?
Shredder, yeah.
Yep.
He very much cared about killing Splinter's
Yeah, but
he's
he's very much like, you know what it is? What shows the, god damn, I'm gonna keep doing this. What shows the humanity of Baxter Stockman is that he is very much prepared for his skills. You know, he could maybe go as far as to work for the government, military intelligence. He could do all these things. He's very skilled in what he does. But mutants and aliens, way out of his depth.
Yeah.
And it has and it shows him being way out of his depth. Like, I know what I'm doing, sort of, but what?
Yeah, it doesn't help the fact that the Shredder's like, well, you're a scientist, so I need you to do this. So at one point later on in the series, he's put in charge of making Shredder a mutant army. And he can't do it because he's not a chemist. He's a freaking robotic engineer.
Yeah, and it shows you see him be out of his depth where he's got skills that he can use. So it's not like he's just a bumbling idiot. He's just out of his depth.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so they deal with him pretty easily. It's actually funny because when the turtles beat him up, they throw him in a garbage can.
It's a running gag, by the way, that none of the turtles can remember his name.
Oh, yeah. I think from what I saw yesterday, one of the more common names is Dexter Speckman.
Yep.
And, which, by the way, I'm sorry to keep bashing on this show, but Rise last week introduced their version of Baxter Stockman. Once again, fuck that show, because the name Baxter Stockman is now 10 years old. He's a young baby boy who works at a grocery store as a stock boy, and his official family last name is Stockboy. Not man, but boy. And he, again, just like April, but April, again, April is a completely different case, but Stockman has always been black, even though he's been whitewashed a couple of times in media. But in this one, he's very much a black stereotype. And it's it was the final nail on the coffin that I'm not giving this show the time of day anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah.
See, that's one thing I will say about all of the black characters in 2012 Turtles is they are black, but they're not black stereotypes, nor are they whitewashed. They are what you should be if you're a black person on TV.
Yeah.
Like, it literally just like, I don't know. It's like, don't let your ethnicity define you, but don't go so far away from it.
Yeah. You hear that, the people who are writing April?
Oh.
Holy shit.
Oh, my least favorite April.
I do not care if you make her black. I care when you make that her only personality. And again,
Exactly.
I'm going to say this real quick. I'm not going to go into detail in it at all. But I am currently writing, I do not know if I'm ever going to do anything with it, but I am currently writing a fan script for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I made Casey in this version Asian American. But that is all I did to him. And there was a very good reason why I made him Asian American. But again, it's something I chose to do, but I made sure to still make him Casey and not make the whole Asian thing defy him.
Exactly. Oh, man. So, yeah, no, super cool, super mega iPod, Baxter Stockman, but overall, not much happened in that episode either.
No, they just learned. I actually love this line. So they can't handle him because of the heavy armor on him. And it's like, come on, when has ninjas ever had to fight people with armor? And right behind them is this beautiful mural in Splinter's bedroom of a ninja fighting a samurai in armor.
Yeah.
But yeah, not much happens. They beat him, and that's about it. You know, they end up publicly shaming him.
And one thing I will say is that season 1, while it was a great season, was still very much, you could tell it was their trial period with the show of seeing what they could do and how they could do it. Much like with Avatar, it would take a few episodes for stuff to start happening and real depth to start going.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still depth here, but you know exactly what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. So, of course, after that episode, we have episode 6, Metalhead. Well, again, not much happens in this episode either, except for the fact that that Donnie realizes that a bow staff fighting against the Krang ain't gonna cut it.
Oh, yeah, that was actually, I think that was probably my favorite line, because with Rob Paulsen and his voice, anytime he screams, it's funny.
I love that, yeah.
And they were fighting the Krang, and basically his staff gets like shot up, and Mike is just like, "Wow, your weapon exploded." and then Donnie just. It almost like the typical Rob Paulsen way where you start out speaking slowly and slowly start speaking faster and louder as the sentence goes on. He was basically, I don't remember it exactly, but he was basically like, how am I supposed to fight mutant aliens with lasers with a stick?
Yeah. God, yeah, I love... That was one of my favorite things always about Rob Paulsen is that when he gets angry, he becomes less intelligible.
Yeah.
So it's just like, yes, I am well aware of that, Mikey!
When he gets mad, though, it's just like you can't help but laugh when Rob Paulsen screams at someone.
Yeah, this was... No, I know he is one of the first official voice actors for Raphael, but Donatello was always kind of a no-brainer, and I wonder if the voice actors were like, why was he Raphael to begin with?
Honestly, because like the way he is, he was just... Donnie, man.
This casting, I swear to God, this casting for the Turtles were perfect. And again, we have Sean Astin, who is famous for being Sam in Lord of the Rings, and you'll know him as the fat kid in the Goonies, because they've made a ton of jokes about him in Family Guy. But have you seen the Goonies?
Of course I have.
Oh, okay.
Many times.
That makes one of us.
Wait, you haven't seen
I need to. I know.
Dude, movie night. We're doing it, because I want to watch that movie again. I want an excuse. And we're going to do that, okay? Movie night. You and me.
Okay. But yeah, that is who Sean Astin is. And a lot of people are going to know him as Bob from Season 2 of Stranger Things. But again... This is absolutely the best form of casting for the Turtles, and it gets even better in Season 3, but we will not say anything about that yet. But yeah, Jason Biggs from the American Pie movies, also very, very good as Leonardo. It sucks that they had to fire him.
Honestly, but even still, he was great. Mm-hmm. Like, the casting, and not only for the Turtles, but for all the characters was so spot on with this show.
Yeah.
How did they fuck it up?
In Rise, yeah.
They had such a perfect formula.
And the thing is that in Rise, I feel like the voice actors aren't bad. They're just being directed horribly, and they're dealing with terrible dialogue.
Yeah, what I will say, though, is...
Real quick, what pains me is the fact that Rob Paulsen is the voice director in Rise.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think his heart's not in it after doing something crazy like this.
And I have a feeling even he's just like, this is a job to me.
Yeah.
So what were you saying?
I was going to say, like, with a lot of series, when you adapt it or make sequels or change voice actors or do something, your goal, usually you have a framework in mind. like in Jack and Daxter, when they changed Kira's voice actor, they were like, this is who Kira is supposed to sound like. Now, you don't have to sound exactly like this person, but be this kind of character. I feel like any future iterations of the Turtles should take note of the 2012's voice casting.
Yes. And again, if you want to experiment with the voice actors, then make sure you have a director who's into it and you have good dialogue. Because again, I kind of dig black voice Mikey. I kind of dig a little Danny from Phil of the Future voicing Mikey in this new show, but he's not given good dialogue.
No, so, not at all.
Yeah, so
it's so bad.
Yeah, so
but anyway,
what they end up doing in Metalhead is Donatello, and again, one of a really funny Splinter moment is Donatello is asking him, I need to upgrade my weapons. I need a better weapon to fight against alien technology. And I like how Splinter's just looking at the staff like, a 7-foot staff. Interesting.
Yeah.
Like, that's his idea of an upgrade.
Oh, actually, hold on. I can quote this one exactly because this moment made me die.
Oh, okay.
Because he was like, Master Splinter, I feel like I could do better than going out there and fighting the Krang with a 6-foot stick. He's like, what about a 7-foot stick?
Yeah.
It was just like, yeah.
And then it's all like, and then he gives him permission to upgrade the staff or maybe find another way of fighting, and it's just like, oh, that's so unfair. Wait, you agreed?
Yep. That Rob Paulson again. Rob Paulson, even slightly frustrated, is just funny to listen to.
Yeah. So he ends up he ended up taking one of the Krang droids and started experimenting on it, and he ends up creating, again, a fan-favorite character of the Ninja Turtles, Metalhead, which in this one, instead of it being an alien or like a robot made to fight the Turtles, it is made by Donatello as kind of his own droid.
Yeah.
After Splinter had specifically said, do not treat life like a video game. And he's like, got it, I'll treat life like a video game.
Yup. Oh, man, they're so their age in this whole series.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what someone would do if at that age.
Yeah, exactly. Like the fact that he believed this is the future of ninjutsu, but it's like, hey, you're a ninja, and you're supposed to be quiet, but you are clanking left and right.
Yup. Oh, man. Like, that episode, though, what else happened? Because it didn't really, it didn't really resonate with me because it didn't seem like much happened.
So they just end up going to stop, like, a Krang building, and, of course, Donatello is working it up with Metalhead. Metalhead's killing Krang, but then one of the Krang, again, in the typical Krang voice, is like, that machine that does damage to Krang used to do damage for Krang. And that little Krang is able to override Metalhead and takes over Metalhead.
I remember that.
Yeah, and the problem with Metalhead is Donatello made him virtually indestructible. Like, they were trying to cut into him. Even when they shoot him, he's just standing right there taking the hits. And it wasn't until Donatello had to step in, realizing that, yes, this is not the proper way of fighting, because look at what can go wrong, ends up taking him out. In a very funny way, too. I like how he tries to smack talk the Krang, and it's just like, hey, Krang, your mother the one called your mother wears what is called the military boots, and is like, you do not know of ways of Krang. The ones you call mothers, just come and get me.
That was so great.
Yeah.
I love the Krang.
Yeah.
I love... You know what? Let's set a date one day. We're gonna make it. We're gonna make Talk Like a Krang Day, and I will blast it on my social media.
Talk Like a Krang Day. And then send it to social media, because this is probably going to be the first episode I'm going to make sure I put on a Reddit. So I'm hoping there's a Ninja Turtle subreddit somewhere.
There better be.
Yeah.
But, dude, so, God, what happens next? What's the next episode?
So, after Metalhead, we have Monkey Brains.
Oh, yeah.
An experimental monkey escapes a lab, and it's up to the Turtles after a run-in with, April finds out that the scientist went missing and believes, well, if we find the scientist, maybe we can find my dad.
This episode I like, because now, well, this episode, not much happens, like a lot of typical episodes in the beginning. this was a foreshadowing episode that introduced 3 huge elements as the show goes on. Introduced Falco, who we'll talk about later.
Yes.
So great. They introduced Rockwell, who's also really great. We'll talk about him later.
Yes.
And they also showed, again, another glimpse of Mikey doing something only Mikey could do. Because essentially, what the theme of this episode is it goes back to Donnie, and it starts out with them, sparring in the dojo, and Mikey, like a lot of typical beginner martial artists, or even higher rank martial artists, they'll get stuck in their head, and they'll think about memorizing the techniques and how to react to other techniques, and not actually react. They try to predict, and essentially, it works for a while, because again, Donnie's not a bad fighter.
Yeah.
But he tries to predict what the enemy will do, and he doesn't think about an unpredictable enemy. Because when they go investigate this lab where the monkey was being experimented on, they end up getting attacked by said monkey.
Yeah.
And monkeys are very unpredictable, and so Donnie can't handle it. And then, in a demonstration where Splinter tries to explain to Donnie how one can fight without thinking, and just purely reactionary, it then shows Mikey doing what I think was the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah. He's just chilling out listening to music, which is presumably the theme song, the 1980s theme song.
Yep.
And Splinter's just like jabbing at him, trying to attack him, and he's just like, dodge, grab the fist. And yeah, that was really cool.
Just without looking or focusing or anything. He was just kind of there.
Yeah.
And that was sort of that idea. And again, not much happens in this episode. It's more of a bridge episode that introduces people.
Oh, yeah.
But Mikey basically tries to... Oh, and Dr. Flippenstein, because come on now.
Flippenstein?
Yeah, when Mikey gets obsessed with backflips.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I got that confused with Dr. Frankenstein.
Oh, that's... Yeah. Mikey has so many of these.
Yeah.
But Dr. Flippenstein was the first one because Donnie was trying to... Oh God! Okay, so I need to talk about this.
What?
So when they were sparring, Donnie was attacking Mikey using Seonage, and Mikey's like, "I'm gonna do a backflip," and Donnie's like, "Wait, but that's not the proper response. You're supposed to throw me like this. You can't defend Seonage with a backflip." And then Splinter comes in and he's like, okay, Splinter, what would you do if I did Seonage? And I'm like, I don't know. And so Donnie's like, well, how don't you know? And he's like, well, I'll show you. Prepared to defend against Seonage. And then he just beats Donnie's ass. And he's like, that wasn't Seonage. And he's like, yeah, but you thought that's what it would be.
I'm after April season 1. I'm trying to figure out like what's the episode when they get grounded?
Oh, it's the thing.
Never says ever, monkey pains, F13, investigate.
It's the one with the, oh God, no. It's the one where April goes into
no, sorry. It was actually here it is. It was actually in episode 5.
Oh, okay.
But what was that thing that he was using them to train with where he just like hit them with a sword?
But
I love that scene where it's just like, so does that mean we're not grounded anymore? And it's all like, yeah, but after a little bit of training with this, and they start running.
Yep. Oh man, but yeah, no, Mikey basically shows off how he fights and how he is not, again, he's not stupid. But he's also very intuitive. He's able to react to things instead of trying to get into his head or predict them.
Yeah.
And Donnie tries to practice that too, and ends up having to fight the monkey again, and basically uses Donnie style.
Yeah, and they capture the monkey, and then they're like, wait a minute. Rockwell wasn't experimenting with an actual monkey, he was using monkey DNA. So what the hell was that monkey? And you find out the monkey was in fact Rockwell.
Yep,
who was
a former scientist who worked with Falco.
Yeah, and Falco was trying to do this type of brain experimentation that was considered by the union as very inhuman and not recommended that they go through with. But he perfects the mind reading formula and actually does beat all the turtles. And after a little jab towards the whole, you seriously think you have a chance with April? Like that again?
Yeah.
Donatello, after heavy focusing, is able to function without thinking and overpowers Falco, which causes Falco to flee, and that is when we move into Never Say Never. And again, it's an episode that even less happens. It's just an introduction to Mr. Murakami and the Purple Dragon.
I love Murakami. He's so nice.
Yeah. I actually like the fact how he, just by, like, getting picked up by them and smelling them, he's like, yeah, I could tell you guys are giant turtles. I don't care.
Yeah, no, and that's a thing, by the way. Like, April basically wants to introduce the turtles to the luxury of having a regular restaurant you could eat at. And they said the owner was blind, so hey, you could just be people.
Yeah.
And so they go, and pizza gyoza was invented.
Okay, has anyone tried that? And there better be a fucking recipe for it online.
I hope there is, because all I think when I think of pizza gyoza is just regular Totino's pizza rolls.
Right?
Which, those things are delicious, so I'm not even mad.
Yeah, except those are, like, also deep fried, and gyoza's not deep fried, right?
No, but it's the closest you'll get, unfortunately, right now.
Because when you really think about it, it's just sliced up pepperoni with tomato sauce and cheese in it.
Yep. But still, oh man, now I want pizza rolls.
Me too. But like, and also the turtles learn that you guys think you can play dirty, but you guys bluff. While the main villain, Zeva, in this episode, he's like, okay, go ahead, throw Bradford off a building. I'll just cut the old man loose.
It literally, this episode, the main theme of this one was like that they're almost out of their depth and they need to adapt because what you are thinking about doing, the villains won't hesitate to do.
Yeah, and it's very much goes back to what you were saying about Zeva being a mafioso. If Zeva needs to make a dirty move, he will make a dirty move. There is no bluffing with him.
Not at all.
And we get that from this great line where the turtles escape with Murakami, and Bradford goes up to Zeva and says, how do you know they weren't bluffing? And he's like, I didn't. like, yeah, if they threw you, they threw you. But I was not going to back down.
Yeah, and that was... Oh, so basically, yeah, that whole episode, they just kind of... the Zephyr and Bradford kidnapped Murakami as a way to get to the turtles. And that was kind of it.
Yeah, that's it. Then we have the Gauntlet, which is another introduction of a character who doesn't really become relevant until season 2 or season 3. I forget when the Mutanimals were formed, but we get the introduction of Pigeon Pete.
Oh yeah, Pigeon Pete.
But April is getting stalked by a giant pigeon.
Oh man, oh I loved that. I'm sorry, but my favorite line in that episode that just kills me every time I see it is, well, here I am, all alone in the big city.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, Bait doesn't talk like that.
And it's like, well, how do you know what Bait talks like? I know Bait doesn't talk back. Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. And, but yeah, so they end up thinking, oh, it's a rogue mutant that maybe the Krang made programmed to go after her. But no, it was really a pigeon that escaped captivity with a message to April from Kirby, her father, that says, get out of the city now. But they're like, no, fuck that. Take us to where he's at, and we'll go get him, and then we'll get out of the city.
Oh, Pigeon Pete.
I really hate the fact that they're like, wow, he's the most useless mutant ever. And then I'm like, you know what? After Mondo, that guy was a very competent fighter.
Well, and also, dude, do you know how useful it is having a member of your team who can fly?
Yeah, right?
Like, of their own power? Like, bro!
Yeah.
They really didn't use Pigeon Pete very well, but more on that later.
I wonder what happened to where they had to be like, what happened to Pigeon Pete? We don't talk about Pigeon Pete.
I have a theory, and I'll talk about it later.
Yeah, I wonder if it was like a voice actor thing. But yeah, so after that, they go in and they find out that the Krang have a giant mutagen bomb, and they're about to just launch it, and it's gonna hit half of New York and turn them all into mutants.
That. By the way, that was the first time my pulse was racing along with them because you could feel the urgency.
Yeah.
Because it's a bomb, It's not like, okay. Again, it didn't fall into the cartoon trope of bombs where either the timer is infinite or the timer is in its last 10 seconds all the time.
Yeah.
And time slows down, but it's just like, no, this is actually a thing. Like, you have mere minutes to do something that would take most bomb squads multiple minutes.
Which we get that funny line
yeah,
where they're fighting with each other, and Raphael just smacks Donnie in the back of the head, and he's like, wow, I really hope you guys continue to argue for another 4 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yep. Oh, man. But also, like, when Donnie was trying to figure this out, like, he was so confused by the tech, and then my favorite response was, well, what did you expect? A giant ball with a lit red fuse that said bomb?
Yeah. And throughout the entire episode, they were like, oh, well, how do we open this door? And it was always Michelangelo was like, that one. And it's like, no, ignore him. He doesn't know what he's talking about. So when they're trying to defuse the bomb, they're like, hit the... And it's like, I don't know, do I cut the green one or the black one? And Michelangelo's like, hit the green one. And it's like, you know what, whatever. They cut it, it's like, oh my god, Michelangelo was right for once.
Honestly.
But
there's a theory about that one, too.
And
like,
what's that?
Again, because Mikey's got a photographic memory, I wonder if he, maybe in a brief, like, passing moment, witnessed some sort of Krang experimenting with some sort of tech and learned that that's how they function.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Very much.
But, that episode, not much happened, really.
Actually, they did.
Well, actually, hold on, wait, because after the whole bomb situation.
Yeah.
Actually, okay, no, wait, I'm sorry. There were two huge
Very
key moments.
big things, yeah.
Huge.
So what ends up happening is during the moment they're trying to defuse the bomb, Zeva and Bradford show up, and they start fighting with the turtles. And after they had defused the bomb, they're like, "Look, it's over. You guys are beaten." And Bradford's like, no, if we're going down, you're going down with us.
Oh,
he breaks
yup.
the mutagen bomb, causing the mutagen to spray on him and Zephyr, turning them into Dog Pound, which is a half corgi, half human hybrid with bones sticking out. Like, literally, one hand is just bone. Like, it's just hard bone, like hard shell bone.
Yep.
And then we have Zephyr, which is a fish man.
And actually, that's one thing. So what happens with the mutagen is you usually turn into the last thing you touched, or last animal you touched. And in the previous episode after their failure, Bradford was bitten by Shredder's dog.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so that makes sense. You turn into a dog.
Oh, a Shibo, sorry. It's a Shibe.
Yep.
Yeah. And then they go to like a fish market, and a fish jumps on Zephyr, and that's where the fish came from.
Yup.
Yeah.
So, and that's another thing that this series introduces to the world, is the small, almost non-consequential scenes or background details will actually affect the world that they're in.
Yeah.
And, of course, that happens in a very big way later, because there is, I'm not spoiling anything, but there is a plot point very later, almost towards the end of the series, that because it was overtly visual and so background, I didn't even know that this happened.
Ooh, I cannot wait till we get there.
And it took you telling me what happened to be like, to connect the dots and be like, oh shit!
Oh, you're talking about that. Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, we get basically the two of the human villains turning into mutants, and it's a really terrifying scene because another big thing that happens is this is the first time the Shredder has directly interacted with the turtles.
Yep.
And they barely escaped with their lives after showing that the turtles they put up enough of a fight, but it really does show that the Shredder is truly a master. And and they barely escaped with their lives. And the only thing that helped them escape was the fact that Bradford and Zebra crawled up to him and said, "Help us!" And he's like, "What the heck is going on here?" And they, escape.
Oh, and watching, I actually have, again, talking same thing about what happened with Vic in the later episodes. You see, you see Bradford trying to cope with becoming a mutant.
Yeah.
But because, he's been accustomed to moving and fighting a certain way, and now he can't do that anymore. He has to adapt his fighting style.
Yeah, because he's huge. He's bulky. He has bones sticking out. So when he tries to use his typical ninja movements, he ends up tripping half of the time.
Yeah, and you see him struggle. And Zephyr, he's a fish.
Yeah.
And all that comes with that. You can't walk anymore.
Yeah.
Because you're a fish.
Which I'm really surprised, at least with Zephyr's case, that the Splinter kept him alive.
The Shredder.
What the hell? Anyway.
Why do you keep doing that?
I don't know. It would even happen when I talked to other people about it. But yeah, I was really surprised that the Shredder kept him alive, and I don't know, maybe it was just a means of well, you're my pet, and that's all you are to me now. That's your punishment.
You could almost see that attitude though.
Yeah.
And
that's probably is what was going on.
God, and but you also see though that he's got some skills, for example, being able to breathe in water now because he's a fish. And oh man, you know what tripped me out though?
What?
The whole, because he's a fish, having that sonar that fishes do, because when Bradford was tapping on the tank, and it showed the sort of Zephyr's reaction to it and how it was that loud ringing and the sonar.
Yeah, I love that scene where it's all oh, whatever, tap, 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 and then you hear boom, boom, boom. It's oh, crap.
Yeah, that actually hurts.
Yeah, so...
And that's why they say don't tap on the glass at, aquariums and stuff.
Yeah, so we get the Turtles barely escape, and then we move on to Panic in the Sewers, episode 10, where Master Splinter has a nightmare of the Turtles getting murdered by the Shredder. And,
dark.
Yeah, and it just causes him to go into this overall panic mode where he just bursts into the Turtles messing around and having fun and being there will be no more rest, there will be no more games, there will only be training 24/7. And it's yeah, but he caught us off guard, we'll be ready for him. It's that is because you are not leaving until you are ready. And...
Oh, you could see the hyper paranoia there.
Oh, yeah. He was horrified.
But, because those are his kids, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, he's doing what any other parent would. It's humanizing him!
Yep.
This is a recurring theme throughout the entire, show, by the way.
Oh, and very much, once a specific villain is introduced, it very much becomes a fight for his last shred of humanity. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and he's overworking them. If they get something wrong, then he, beats them as hiding it as training, though. It's no, you have to move like this, and he'll just flat out beat them up. And
they can't, they're not allowed to rest, so they're really running themselves into the ground, which, in hindsight, and even Splinter mentions this, was a horrible move, because if the Shredder showed up at that moment, they'd be tired and overworked, and almost certainly going to die.
Yeah. And they would be just as paranoid as he was and being we're tired, we're overworked, there's no way we can beat him, we're dead.
And... also, this was the first episode you see April do at least some degree of ninja-ing.
Yeah.
Non-combative, but still ninja-ing.
This is actually the episode where I think... No, sorry. It was the episode with Rockwell where Splinter saw potential in her and decided to train her as a Kino Ichi.
Yep. But she does... Oh, man. I think this is also...
delivery boy.
Yeah. Well, first the pizza. And then the, what was she?
It was when she was posing as a fire inspector?
I think she was a firefighter.
Yeah. And it was the same guy, too, which cracked me up.
Yeah.
It was, I'm an undercover cop, and it's oh, yeah, then let me see a badge. I'm undercover, why would I have a badge?
Yeah.
and then it's and then same guy goes into his house, yeah, I'm a fire inspector, and she's holding up a school ID.
Yeah. Oh, man. I think that was funny not only because, like, it showed I'm obsessive about small details. Anyone who knows me knows I read a lot of books and I love small details. And one thing that I loved was how she was able to trick that guy, who he must not have been very bright.
No.
Because undercover cops are supposed to carry badges anyway.
Yeah, so
but you
they can
carry
prove
it
it.
in your wallet. It's got to be like an ID size.
Yeah.
So you don't carry like a full badge, but you carry a badge when you're undercover.
Yeah.
But like, I learned that one from the first Fast and Furious. But I don't know. My favorite one was when she tried the pizza boy a second time, and she's like, "Did somebody order?" And just got the door slammed in her face.
Yeah, by one of the foot ninjas.
Yeah.
And so they end up basically discovering, because April did this pizza boy trick where she put a microphone on a pizza box.
Yep.
And she picked up that the purple dragons that the split